With the biggest update coming to Grounded, there has been a lot of misinformation spreading on YouTube, Reddit, and other social media platforms regarding one question. Should you start over when playing the new update? The developers of Grounded, Obsidian, have answered this question multiple times during live streams, so it's a bit confusing why anyone is contradicting them. In this video, I'll give you the answer straight from the developer's mouth, and also discuss the pros and cons of starting fresh or continuing your existing save. Before we continue, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss any future Grounded videos. Let's get started. The following clip is from the Obsidian livestream on September 29th.
Well, you don't have to start over. It's just
You
suggested.
don't have to start over.
Yeah.
It's just something we're recommending.
And even if you do start over, you can keep your old save and go back to it and then start a new one to see the progression there and go back and forth. Like, just because you start a new one doesn't mean your old one's gone.
Exactly.
There's your answer. No, you don't need to start over when playing the new update, but the developers are encouraging it. It's up to you to decide whether or not to start from the beginning or continue your current adventure, and of course you can do both. Before we look at the pros and cons of starting fresh and continue your current save, let's start by answering the question of why would the developers encourage you to start fresh with each new update? There are two main reasons in my opinion. First is there have been and could be changes made to the content you have already completed. I continued my current save that I play with my kids when the Shroom and Noob update was released, and I also started a fresh save a few weeks afterwards. The one obvious change I noticed on the fresh save was the addition of Archers to the Pond Lab. They were not present prior to the Shroom and Noob update, and were quite a surprise when I entered the lab in WoW mode. There were a lot of them, so the lab was much more treacherous to navigate. I only played for a few hours on the new playthrough, so it's possible other things changed, but I didn't notice them. If you did, let me know in the comments so I know to look out for them when I start a new save in the future. It's possible when more of the story is added in the future, there will be more dramatic and noticeable changes to the early parts of Grounded, as well as other changes such as the order of quests or the quest offered by Burgle. The second reason the developers would encourage you to start a new game is, at least from my perspective, obvious. It's to prevent you from getting through all the new content in a few days and having to wait 2, 3, or 4 months for the next update. In my video, How Often Should Early Access Games Get New Content?, I discussed how many of us have been conditioned to expect frequent updates. The longer the time between updates, the more likely a player will get bored and stop playing, so it makes sense that developers will want you to start fresh, rather than burn through the new content and stop playing. As I mentioned, I continued my multiplayer save when the Shroom and Doom update was released, and we were able to complete the Haze Lab, beat the Hedge Brewmother, and purchase everything new from Burgle within a few hours. We did spend quite a bit more time building with the new mushroom bricks, but after a few weeks we got bored and stopped playing. Other than the little bit of time I spent starting fresh and recording footage for YouTube videos, I haven't been playing Grounded much lately. If we had started a new game, however, we would have had to unlock all the crafting recipes and mutations again, we would have had to complete all the labs again, and farm tons of resources. That would have taken quite a bit longer, even knowing exactly what to do. I think the idea that the devs want us to keep playing longer after an update is further evidenced by the low drop rate of crow feathers and charcoal chunks. As we all know, crow feathers were a pain to get when the Shroom and Doom update was released, and charcoal chunks were even more limited. Both were made slightly easier to get with a minor update, but they are still limited compared to just about every other resource in the game. Imagine if there was a consistent and fast way of getting feathers and charcoal. How much faster would you have been able to build your castles? Personally, I don't like RNG affecting how long it takes me to do things in games. I'd rather my actions dictate the rate at which I progress. So that covers why I think the developers encourage starting fresh. Now let's look at the pros and cons of both starting fresh and continuing your current save. In this case, the pros for starting fresh are the cons for continuing, and vice versa. If new content is added to part of the game you have already completed, starting fresh will allow you to experience it, while you would miss it if you continued your current save. How much of a pro or con this really is depends on how much impact the new content has on the game. If it's minor, like just adding Archers to the labs you've already completed, does that really matter? If it's major, like completely changing how to complete a lab or redesigning the quest, that could be enough to warrant starting over. If new content is added to the end of the game, continue your save will let you experience it immediately, while you would have to wait days, maybe weeks to get to it if you start fresh. If you are someone that doesn't mind waiting to see new content, starting over might not be that bad, but if you want to see everything as soon as possible, having to spend dozens of hours to get to it would not be desirable. Starting fresh also means you will have to complete all the same content you've already completed. How many times can you repair the mysterious machine before you never want to do it again? Continuing your save, on the other hand, means not having to repeat any quests. This is a major pain point for me. If the gameplay loop is varied enough, and not repetitive, I'm okay with starting fresh a few times. Unfortunately, Grounded has very little variation as it's story driven. Every time you start a new game, you have to repair the mysterious machine, complete the various labs, unlock the crafting recipes and mutations, complete the same side quest, and the map is static. The final point is most important. If nothing else changed with the map, at least there is variation in the experience. Many survival games have procedurally generated worlds, which means no two games will ever be the same. With the backyard being the same every time, other things need to change to make me want to start fresh on a regular basis. Starting fresh with every update will also mean by the time you finish everything currently in the game, there will be less time until the next big update. Continuing where you left off will mean you get through the new content quickly and will have a longer wait until the new content is added. This can be a pro or con depending on the person. If you play other games, getting through the new content quickly will be a positive. It will give you more time to play those other games. If you only play Grounded, having to wait 3+ months for more things to do can be disheartening. Those are the pros and cons I can think of for starting fresh or continuing your adventure in Grounded. Personally, unless we are told there are massive changes to the previously released content, I will be continuing my current save because repeating the early part of the game just isn't that appealing to me at this time. I definitely plan to start fresh when the game is fully released, and I'll likely do so at least once or twice before then. It really depends on each update. If this update or one in the near future completely changes the game and makes starting fresh the best possible experience, then I'll start a new save. Until then, I'll continue my multiplayer save with my kids and play other games in between updates. What about you? Do you plan to start fresh, or do you want to get to the new content as soon as possible? Let me know in the comments below. If you made it this far, you either liked the video or forgot it was playing. If it's the former, click the like button. If it's the latter, you probably aren't listening right now, but thanks for watching until the end. If you want to support the channel even more, you can become a channel member by clicking the join button below or via the link in the description. Doing so will directly benefit the channel, and you'll also unlock loyalty badges, emotes, and get the chance to have your name in the credits of future videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.